Welcome everyone to the next edition of the Stay on Course podcast. Today we have an amazing guest, Ed Katz, and he is a multi-award winning marketer specializing in public relations and helping his clients cut through the clutter of media. Welcome, Ed, to the Stay on Course podcast. So happy to have you here today.
Thank you very much, Julie. Appreciate you having me on.
Amazing. So today we're going to get right into this topic of publicity that pays, the three ingredients for success for small business owners to take their PR to the next level. So I'm excited for this conversation, Ed, but before we get started, I ask all of my guests, what is your favorite food?
Probably New Haven pizza.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm in South Florida, but there's a few New Haven pizza restaurants that have opened up around us.
okay.
It's
Anything
great.
good? Can you tell us a good one?
Sure, Fantini's New Haven style Beats in Stewart,
Oh,
and then a place just called Beats in Delray. There's
okay.
also a Pepe's down in this area too, which is from New Haven.
Okay,
So
well, I'm going to have to check that out.
yeah, they're all good.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How about you? What's yours?
My favorite food? Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I go for lobster every time. I know it's like I'm a seafood person, so if I'm
Okay.
gonna like have a meal, like I want some sort of like fruta de mare, something like that.
All right. Well, at the Fantini's in Stewart, the pizza, you can get white clam.
Oh, like clam. There you
My
go.
wife's favorite. Yeah.
That's got to be delicious. See, I don't
Yeah.
eat bread or like I don't eat pizza. I have to eat the.
That's the exception. She doesn't like it either, but she says for that she'll make an exception.
Okay, okay. So I do make exceptions once in a
There you
while.
go. Right. You gotta.
Okay, I make exceptions once in a while. So, Ed, I'd love to know what you're busy working on right now.
Sure. I'm helping. I do work with different types of clients. Small business owners, entrepreneurs, book authors, podcasters, and a couple of celebrities that I do with public relations work as well. So, one of them, Chris Sarandon, is a Oscar-nominated actor,
Ooh,
and he has a podcast focusing on food. He grew up in a restaurant because his father owned a restaurant where he grew up in West Virginia, and a lot of if you haven't, you'd know his movies. He was in The Princess Bride. He was in his Oscar nomination was for Dog Day Afternoon. He was in all the Chucky movies.
is he the
So
blonde guy?
no, 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 no,
Okay.
no. He was Prince Humperdinck. Cary Elwes
Oh,
was
he
the
was
blonde
Prince
guy in the film.
Humperdinck.
Yeah,
I
he was
love that
the bad
movie.
guy. Yeah, yeah.
My
And he
name
was
is
the
Inigo
voice of
Montoya. That I love that.
right. He was the voice of Jack Skellington in Nightmare Before Christmas. So I've been working on help growing his podcast for the past few years, and we built up his following to. He's got I think around 70,000 followers between Facebook and Instagram now, and his podcast is in the top 3% of all podcasts.
Oh, I love that.
It's called Cooking by Heart, and he's got great guests on. And a kind of a cool success story I'll put in about Chris is I was doing publicity when he was going to interview a Broadway star. And so I got the story placed in Broadway World, the website, broadwayworld.com. Well, who read that story was his ex-wife, Susan Sarandon. And she reached out to him and said, Chris, I want you to interview me for your podcast. And that became the most successful podcast episode.
I love that.
And
That's a
it got
very
coverage in People Magazine, USA Today, Entertainment Tonight, Entertainment Weekly, all over the place.
that's amazing.
New
All
York
right.
Post.
When we get done with this, I'm going to tell you my Susan Sarandon story.
Oh, okay.
I have a Susan Sarandon story. Okay. Thank you so much. So let's talk about it. When you start out with the clients that you have, where do you start off when it comes to PR?
Right. So the first thing we do is a media audit. We talk about we talk with them about where they want to be, and then we kind of do a media audit to assess where they are currently. So we can kind of then chart out the map from where they are at point A to get them to point B. Uh, in most cases, it involves improving their social media following
Mm.
because that makes it a lot easier for me doing the public relations and media outreach to get media coverage. Because what I found over the past few years, especially as all the media companies have cut staff due to starting with COVID, and then they just kept it running lean. And you're trying to get your clients into media outlets like, TV, radio, websites, podcasters like yourself, blogs, things like that, any kind of news outlet. They're working with fewer resources. We have to make it easier for them. And one of the things they look at is how big of a media presence or social media presence does the potential interviewee have? So if they see you've got 300, 500 followers, not such a big deal. But if you've got 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 followers, much bigger deal, and they're much more apt to want to interview you or write a story
I
about you.
love that. I love that. Now, is there a particular social media platform that is more successful at that than the others?
It varies so much by who the client is and who their audience is. Um, for a lot of times you'd think for a business owner, LinkedIn would be the best, and it's a great platform. But if you want to do ads on it, Facebook is better even for businesses.
Yeah.
It just works better, more cost efficiently.
So interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Instagram can be good too. Generally a little younger audience, but for most business owners, Facebook's phenomenal.
Yeah, that's crazy because I'm spending all my time on LinkedIn, Ed. I
You
just
gotta. I
got,
mean, and I get it. You have to, but for promotional purposes, it's so much. The targeting with Facebook is so much better and easier and more cost efficient than
okay,
any other
than
platform.
any
But
other platform.
as a general rule, there are exceptions based on
Yeah.
certain clients and who they're trying to appeal to. But as the basic kind of rule of thumb, Facebook's the most
Facebook.
cost
Oh
efficient.
my God. Well, it's really hard for people to kind of make the shift because Facebook is for my friends. Like
Yeah, I know.
I'm in there with all my friends. They're like
Sure.
everyone that I've met since college, all
Yeah.
my careers, like
Yeah, high
all my
school.
friends.
I've got a bunch of high school buddies
Yeah, that's what
on
it
here.
is. It's not, I haven't designed that for business, but my LinkedIn, I have 10,300 people on LinkedIn.
Nice. Yeah. I was one of the early LinkedIn adopters. Um, and I was like number 111,000 out of the 70 million or whatever people that are on it. And one of my clients from like a decade ago, it was a LinkedIn expert. And he
Mm,
would charge, even back then, like $400, 450 an hour to work with
wow.
CEOs to boost their LinkedIn profile. He doesn't need me anymore because I did my job for him. I got him on in New York area. CBS News was the big news station, and Joe Connolly had a small business report, and I got him to be a regular on Joe Connolly's small business report, which filled up his calendar for getting helping people with LinkedIn. But he told me only connect with people you've actually met or know.
Oh,
So I've got like 3,500, maybe close to 4,000 followers, even though I've been on for 17, 18 years, something like that.
but you know all those people?
I've known them and interacted with them. Yeah, I don't okay accept connections for people I've never actually met. So
Okay, so
he warned me about that. So I've
but
kind of
it's
listened
the
to that.
opposite on Facebook, then you should not do that on like see it seems so strange.
No, I mean, I've got, I don't know how many followers on Facebook, connections on Facebook, maybe 3,500, 3,000, 3,500. But yeah, I know them too. I don't really do it with people I don't know. There are a couple of exceptions if I like have enough friend connections and I know of them. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
We
but
got
the
100
70
mutual friends in common, sure.
yeah, but the 70,000 that your client got, they don't know all those people.
No, 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 but that's followers. That's different. That's a professional profile.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Because as you know, on Facebook, you're capped at 5,000 for your personal, but on if you set up as a professional page, yeah, he's got 20, 30,000, whatever it is on that, maybe more at this point.
Okay,
And
interesting.
Instagram, he's got a bunch too. So, right. But so they're following him. He doesn't know,
Got it.
he knows a handful.
All right, so what is the next step in the process?
Okay, so after the audit, then we do the social media awareness boosting, and we build the profile by getting more followers. So it has to do with a combination of organic posts
Mhm.
and paid ads.
Okay.
That's the way you do it. So once we grow the following to at least 5,000 is usually good for me to start doing media outreach for the client, because the media will take a look and the first thing they check is how many followers does the client have. They see 5,000 or more, you're okay. It's enough of a credibility thing. that they're
Right.
willing to write on you. Now I'm working with a book author, Diana Sussman from Connecticut, and she's first book author. She worked on but it got an American Fiction Award finalist in her category for children's novels. It's aimed at middle schoolers and it's sort of a Nancy Drew type detective story. And the book is called The Neighbor's Secret. And it's a fun little spy story with this 12-year-old girl as the protagonist. And we built her website. We built her following up to about 2,500 or so. And I got great news coverage for her. News, TV interview, radio interviews, podcast interviews, and book signing and reading appearances. So it's been working. She's got a sequel in the works that's coming out later this year. I'm not sure exactly when her publisher is going to put it out, but it's could be over the summer, so it's ready for the new school year. Yeah, we'll be doing the whole cycle again, getting her out there to talk about the new book.
That's awesome. So give us some ideas and some tips on how to help social media, like I'd like to know a little more about the organic posts, like some tips you can give us for
Okay,
the
so
posts.
that's a customized thing. So I can't kind of do a generic answer to that because each client is different and my team goes over. So my team is Google, Yelp, Bing, and Google Meta, Yelp, and Bing certified. And
Okay.
less than 3% of agencies have all those certifications. So my Katnip Marketing firm is almost 17 years old. I've been working with this team for 9 years
Okay.
because they're really good. The first few years I was saying, okay, who's good, who's not, and kind of weeding out the ones that didn't work and kept coming back to these guys because they do a really good job. All based in the US. They all speak English really well. That's their first language. That's not the case with a lot of social media teams. I'm sure you're aware. So and they're priced affordably. So that's the combination I couldn't beat. So I work with them. So they do the engagement, they do the ads, and we talk about a strategy for the organic posts to make them relevant, and we see what works. You know, working with another book author a while back, we got her to 5,000 followers, and then we shut off the ads and just focused on the organic posts. And she would get posts that had 400 likes and 75 shares. I mean, you know, it went viral, and that helps her sell books. She was a client of mine for 9 years until she retired. So it worked out really, really well. So that's kind of the team does that, but it's customized by the client and who their target audience is.
I see. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, it's very difficult to figure out the algorithms for each of those platforms. So
Yeah,
having
yeah,
somebody
they're all
that's
different.
at the forefront really helps that process.
Right. So that's why I work together with them. They build the following up, makes it a lot easier for me to get the public relations media coverage. And that's our
Mm.
team approach.
Okay,
So
so after you do all that, that's when you get to the next part, and that's getting that media coverage, right?
correct, correct. The media outreach, get the interviews and get the stories. Right.
How do you do the outreach?
That's a strategy focused again on who the client needs to reach to help their business or whatever it is. If it's a book sales or podcast listenership or selling products, selling services, software services, things like that. Who's their target audience? We focus on that and the media that's relevant to the target audience. And that's where you do the deep dive and call through the media lists I've got and get other ones that when I need to and do the media outreach focused on those lists.
Yeah. Now, do these guys pick up the phone? I mean, I guess they know you, but like, do these people in general pick up the phone or answer emails?
It's emails. Yeah.
Okay.
And they don't always answer. It takes persistence because, you know, they're getting deluged. Everyone, I'm not the only one pitching them. Everyone's pitching them. So, but I've got a good success rate. It's worked out well. We've won awards for several clients. So, yeah, it's overall, it's been good. But again, it helps having the social media engagement and the followers because
Right.
that helps my clients stand above who they may be competing with for the media's attention.
Interesting. It's interesting. Well, it's like, I think it's really that you are a salesperson for the person you're repping, really.
Yeah,
You're
that's
selling
true.
for them, but
That's
you're
true.
just selling to a different audience. You're selling to
Right.
the media.
Right. right? So they'll cover it and do a story.
Isn't it interesting how like everything is sales?
It is. That's what I was told in my first jobs in media when I worked at cable, radio, and TV and selling media. That was it. Yeah.
That's it. You're just trying to
Skills translate.
yeah, I think that's the message for today that everything is sales.
Yeah,
Like, and if you have a small business, you're in sales.
of course.
And if you want to get media coverage, you're in sales.
Right. Sure. Anytime you're making posts,
You're in
there's,
sales. What's
yeah,
sales?
right. I mean,
Marketing.
obviously, you don't want every post to be overtly sales oriented.
Right.
Usually it's the 80-20 rule, even the 90-10 rule, that only 10 to 20% should be sales oriented or self promotional. But the other is informational, and it's how you engage and increase your brand awareness, and you get to improve your perception as a subject matter expert.
Yeah. So what do you tell the small business owner that might not be able to afford this type of service? How can you give them a little wisdom to help them move them along the road?
Well, for small business owners, there's at least 7 different circumstances or events where they should be putting out a press release.
Okay.
And I can show you a chart on that.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
So the 7 times, the 7 events, when you're announcing a new hire, that's a pretty basic one. Your company's hired someone. You get a big new client or a contract, you can talk about that through a press release. Any kind of a company event, even if it's a retreat, is always a good excuse to put something like that out. When a key employee gets promoted or your company has won an award, these are pretty basic, obvious ones that really any business should be doing. When you achieve a milestone, 10th anniversary is coming up. I'm not going to do a press release on it, but we have our 17th anniversary. So coming up in a few weeks, I'll be putting out, on social media about that. If you're adding a new location or reach some big sales goal. And anytime you're doing charity work, that's a great time to be talking about what your business is and who you are, because it shows a nicer side. It's very positive, and it's media friendly, because a lot of the local media will love covering a business helping out a charitable enterprise. So here, this is just if I can get to it. Yeah. A lot of even business owners don't realize all the things public relations can do for them. But developing and enhancing a company's brand identity is one, building consumer interest, whether it's B2B or B2C, and growing consumer trust. And it can even help drive valuation better and generate potential investor interest.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then you want to position your company as top of mind. And you want to become, if you're the CEO of the company, you want to be the subject matter expert, or we call it SME. So, yeah, that's it.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
Sure.
So, Ed, where can my audience find out more about you?
Katz at Katnip Marketing. And then the office number is right there, 561-284-6027. And the website's katnipmarketing.com.
Amazing. Well, thanks, Ed, so much for the time today. And thank you for being a guest on the Stand Course podcast.
Thanks so much, Julie. I really appreciate it. Thanks.